Hey everyone, I'm back, and I have a lot to say about the extortionist in chief and his 50% tariffs on Canadian products later in the video. But let's start with the Calgary Stampede, an annual Alberta event that features politicians in cowboy hats flipping pancakes. Well, let's see who wore it best.
We get to see the maple trees, maple sugar and the maple leaves. We got the biggest wheat fields growing tall. In Canada, where we see the reversing falls. In Canada, we get to see them all.
I think we have a winner this year with Pierre Poilievre. The pipsqueak once again embarrassed himself and Canada as he cowboy larped in white satin, embroidered shirt with pearl buttons and a matching white hat, riding in on horseback like some great hero instead of the loser he really is. He spouted nonsense about building a warrior culture and getting rid of a woke military while resembling something that belongs between two graham crackers with a piece of chocolate. Who's he squeaking to, or speaking to the rabbit separationists, or is he spurring on the trucker convoy cavalry to sign up for duty, or is he just being a yahoo?
We will ensure that military spending goes to enhance capabilities to protect our country and support our troops. It will enhance warfighting. It will not fund bureaucracy or defense lobbyists, and we will reinstill a warrior culture, not a woke culture.
I don't I don't understand how anybody can watch this speech and not be completely distracted by how ridiculous he looks.
As far as a woke armed forces, you pale-ass chauvinist chihuahua, Canada just went through a painful long series of investigations into racism and sexual abuse in the forces and purged dozens of offenders from the ranks. A 2022 report by former Supreme Court Justice Louise Arbour found there was a hostile, deeply entrenched, sexualized culture in the Canadian military. Top generals faced investigations and had to step down. Bill C-11 stripped the military of its jurisdiction to investigate and prosecute sexual offenses, and as of June 2026, these cases are officially transferred to the civilian justice system. So now there are even more opportunities for any Canadian who wants to serve with dignity. And the Canadian Armed Forces, CAF, has reached their highest recruitment number in over 30 years in the 2025-26 fiscal year, successfully enrolling 7,310 regular force members. The pipsqueak might think he's owning the libs, but he also pissed off many of his own party by taking an unnecessary and misleading jab at recently defeated Conservative leadership candidate Caroline Elliott, congratulating the winner, Carrie Lynn Findlay, by saying, "Way to go, fresh off a big win against the Liberal lobbyists from out east."
What was supposed to be a lighthearted moment at the Calgary Stampede has kicked off a wave of Conservative infighting.
Carrie Lynn Findlay! Way to go. Fresh off a big win against Liberal lobbyists from out east.
That comment, widely seen as a dig at one of Conservative Ontario Premier Doug Ford's top advisors, Corey Teneycke, who criticised Pierre Poilievre's campaign in the last federal election.
Politics is about addition, not subtraction. Putting the public interest ahead of personal disputes.
BC Conservative leadership candidate Caroline Elliott defending her campaign manager Teneycke, wasting no time in clapping back at Poilievre.
So your MPs, and now you personally, celebrating my defeat in the BC Conservative leadership race is disappointing. The race is over, and it's time to unite, not divide.
That federal-provincial division, an unforced error by Poilievre.
This is in reference to Elliott's campaign manager, Corey Teneycke, who was also Ontario Premier Doug Ford's campaign manager, a Conservative, along with Teneycke, several other former Conservative staffers from both federal and provincial levels also joined Team Elliott. And then there's Premier Danielle Smith, typically was non-committal, much like her stance on whether or not Alberta should separate or remain in Canada, wearing three different hats. I guess the third one was for signaling to her pals at Mar-a-Lardo. She flipped those lids faster than the hotcakes. And never one to miss a party. Ontario Premier and Canada's Trump mini-me, Rob Ford, bumbled into the festivities alongside Danny to announce his transnational pipeline plan with her.
Folks, I have seen some crazy press conferences in my time, but the one today with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith and Ontario Premier Doug Ford absolutely took the cake. This is nuts. And Canadian taxpayers who are watching, put your hand in your wallet because they're coming for it. And so in this video, I'm going to just give you a quick overview of what's going on. We'll dive into it in more detail in the coming days. But I'm going to talk about four things. First one, the Ford and Smith announced a couple of MOUs about building pipelines. Crazy. Number two, Prime Minister Mark Carney was in Calgary. He did an interview with Calgary Herald. Comments that are relevant to this. That's number two. Number three, the International Energy Agency just a couple of weeks ago released its Oil Market Report 2025. Need some global context here. And number three, I'm going to wrap it all up and talk about the likelihood of your tax dollars being squandered on these irresponsible energy projects.
The only thing Alberta cares about more than hating the feds is the fossil fuels industry, even as their infrastructure is falling apart. According to the Alberta Municipalities Infrastructure Report, the province's growing $1 billion plus local funding gap is growing. Alberta is facing critical infrastructure failures across its transportation, water, and municipal networks due to deferred maintenance, funding cuts, and unprecedented systemic strains. Alberta's NDP leader, Naheed Nenshi, announced he would run for a Calgary seat in the next election, but he made a huge gaffe by posing with the Israeli ambassador, Ido Moed. The critique follows an Instagram post in which Nenshi said he was approached by Moed, with whom he had a brief and frank exchange. Nenshi later apologized, saying, "After talking to many people in the community over the last couple of days, I better understand the immense hurt that has caused a lot of folks," he posted in a lengthy message. And finally, Mark Carney was there for his first official stampede as Prime Minister in a well-ventilated straw version of the hat that apparently filters BS, hot air, and the brief chorus of boos from some in the crowd. He seemed relaxed as he went on to meet with Treaty 6, Treaty 7, and Treaty 8 leaders, toured the grounds, met with attendees, and discussed issues like pipeline developments while remaining focused on Canadian unity.
Welcome to the Calgary Stampede, my friend.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Should we take a quick selfie?
Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah, right.
We've been here all week.
Always nice to see the Western spirit. Yeah, no,
it's good.
Native Calgarian. Native Calgarian.
Okay, thanks. I'll
Native
try to do better.
Calgarian.
Native Calgarian. Yeah, you know, Edmonton. I'm sorry about that, but you know, what can I do?
Good luck dealing with everyone. Have a great night.
Good about it now.
They all do have one thing in common, though. With the possible exception of Nenshi, they're all galloping forward with pipeline plans, investing in the consumption of more fossil fuels and LNG instead of renewables. Environmental groups have warned for decades about the effects of climate change, but the corporate overlords got their way, and now here we are paying the price of their greed and stupidity. And speaking of greed and stupidity, the demented Dennis the Menace has taken another swipe at Canada, slapping those 50% tariffs on specific Canadian products. The ridiculous initial reason he gave for those new tariffs was over the smoke from the wildfires burning in northern Ontario that's affected some of the United States. He's since managed to find a loophole around the SCOTUS rulings, striking down his previous tariffs by claiming unfair discrimination on U.S. products such as wine and spirits and dairy. But I think everyone missed the real reason he slapped those whopping 50% tariffs on us. Watch this clip from the FIFA World Cup when Carney handed the Spanish team goalkeeper Shimon the Golden Gloves Award.
All right. I got some more zoom-ins. Look at how, first of all, clearly the goaltender, not a fan of Trump. I mean, look how quickly he just shook his hand and walked, didn't even make eye contact. Trump's trying to talk to him. Right here. Trump's trying to talk to the guy, and he's just not even making eye contact. Goes right by him, and then gives Mark Carney a big hug. While Trump is clearly a little pained by that. So
Carney and the King of Spain had previously pledged that they would support each other's team if either were eliminated. It was especially gratifying to see him hand over the awards as a former hockey goalie himself. And one of the targets of the new tariffs is, in fact, hockey sticks. As for the wildfires in Canada, for days now I've been hearing choppers overhead as they fill their Bambi buckets from the rivers and lakes nearby and transport them to the wildfire raging just kilometers north of us here in BC. The mountaintops are barely visible through all of the smoke and leaving a pervasive and toxic miasma on the ground level, while heat and humidity further limit comfortable breathing. The nearest fire quadrupled in size overnight, prompting more evacuations. Well, so far we're not in harm's way, but we're prepared to bug out. There are nearly 1,000 fires burning across the country now, and roughly 2,000 people have been evacuated and counting. Entire communities have been lost, predominantly Indigenous ones that didn't have a lot to lose to begin with. Livelihoods have been lost or gone forever, and in some cases, in normal times, our closest neighbors would send assistance without question, but the current administration is calculating how they can make a buck off of a human and environmental tragedy.
Everything's on the table.
Can you maybe elaborate on that? What would it take for you to do that? I know you said you don't speak for other premiers, but you've mentioned oil and potash. Are you hoping that the federal government leads a coordinated approach where every province puts something on the table to leverage against the U.S.?
Oh, that can only be done if the rest of the province, it's a Team Canada approach, and we're going to take the Prime Minister's lead, so I look forward to hearing what he has to say.
Federal Emergencies Minister Eleanor Olszewski said late on Friday that the Canadian Armed Forces would use aircraft to evacuate residents of Fort Hope in sparsely populated northwestern Ontario, where some of the most intense fires are burning. And according to Bob Gray, a Chilliwack, BC-based certified wildfire ecologist, said the U.S. complaint sidestepped the fact that wildfire smoke routinely crosses the border in both directions. No duh. We trade smoke back and forth across the border all the time, said Gray, who started his career decades ago as an elite wildland firefighter in the U.S. Canadian fire crews battle wildfires using roughly the same tactics and strategies of their U.S. counterparts, Mr. Gray said, by moving away from aggressively suppressing all wildfires, instead choosing a modified response where conditions indicate that fires can be safely left to burn, which is also similar to the U.S. But in order to make fuels thinning economically viable, there needs to be a market for all the wood fiber that must be removed from Canadian forests. But American tariff policies undermine any viable market for that fiber, Mr. Gray said. We don't have a Canadian wildfire problem or an American fire problem. We have a North American fire problem, Mr. Gray said. So we have to look at it in an integrated way.
The United States needs to decide what they want. Do they want a strong partner in Canada where we work together, or are they keen to go it alone? But there's not this middle road where you attack British Columbians on one hand, and on the other hand, you're digging up our metals and minerals and bringing them south of the border. We heard the news this week from the Americans about a direct attack again on forestry families in British Columbia, those that work with wood to make furniture, for example, to add value to our wood products. It's just inexplicable to me because we had the American ambassador hold a mining roundtable, meeting with mining companies, looking at opportunities to invest in mines in Canada to secure the metals and minerals that the United States needs. It can't be that is simultaneously the position of the U.S. and that Canada agrees with that. We can't have a country on one hand attacking one group of families and workers while hoping to have access to the resources in Canada that the rest of the world wants.
In a first, Canada's begun to use a brand new drone technology to fight new fires, limits the risk to life and limb.
Drone technology that we were able to use enabled us to see exactly where the ignition was happening. The infrared could see through the smoke. It also, at one point, it indicated that it was starting to encroach onto our fuel free, and we were able to respond accordingly. Typically, during this type of fire response, we use helicopters to drop PSDs, which ignite once they hit the ground. We had the opportunity to trial a drone, which would be the first time in Canada that we've utilized this type of innovation. I've been working for BC Wildfire for a majority of my life, and seeing the new technology of the drones, being able to eliminate some of the risk and hazards was very impressive.
And as well, new technologies being developed by the University of Toronto that could create more accurate AI-powered fire prediction models. And they say that the team's partnered with the government. They say the team is partnered with government agencies and industry, including BC Wildfire, Alberta Wildfire, Canadian Forestry Service, aircraft operators Conair Aerial Firefighting, and Vexelis, a wildfire monitoring service provider. They say wildfire growth is currently estimated using 15 to 20 prescribed burns from the 1980s, plus data on weather and forest conditions, all fused with decades of human experience. But this method hasn't been adapted to current wildfire severity and increases due to climate change, and involved a great deal of extrapolation from limited models. Our big idea here is to use AI and computer vision to capture unprecedented numbers of fires from the air to build more sophisticated data-driven wildfire prediction models. Of course, another factor in this unprecedented fire season is the effects of El Nino, which is fast becoming a super El Nino. Has a 96% chance of lasting in 2027, so the Earth doesn't have time to cool back down before it heats back up, so it heats back up even more. Preparation going forward is going to be existential. Besides Northern Ontario, there are wildfires in the Northwest and Pacific Northwest, as I said, including Alaska, and thousands of fires have burned millions of acres this year so far. Across Canada, thousands of people have had to flee their homes, with strangers opening their homes to them. Volunteers are also caring for pets that can't be brought into hotels or shelters. The demented dotard is trying to squeeze us for a buck, placing no value on the human cost, as exemplified by fallen Canadian firefighting hero who lost his life last week in a helicopter crash while battling the Gold Mountain fire raging in Colorado. Pilot Nicholas Dale was honored with people lining the Interstate 70 and highways across Colorado last Monday as his body was transported from Montrose to Denver International Airport before returning home to Canada. Canada thanks all of those who paid tribute to his sacrifice and sent prayers to his loved ones. If you want to help the evacuees and their families or pets, the Government of Canada will match all donations to the Canadian Red Cross. And the United Way is also accepting donations for BC's Wildfire Recovery Fund. And put the links in the description below. But don't let smoke get in your eyes, America. The arsonists in the White House. The time to fight is now. Elbows up.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're gonna pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works.